Police are now at two different scenes in downtown Wilmington after an officer-involved shooting this afternoon. It happened between Chops Deli and the post office right on Front Street. And WECT's Marissa Hundley is live at the second scene. That's at 3rd and Chestnut. So Marissa, that's where a gun was found, right?
Yeah, that's right, Ashley. Right at the entrance of the downtown library here. This is about 2 blocks away from where it all started. And this is also where police tell me that armed man was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound. Now, this all started around 1:30, like you said, in front of Chops Deli next to the post office there. This was lunchtime, of course. Lots of people outside eating when they heard the gunshots. Witnesses told me they saw an officer approach a man in the alleyway next to the deli, tell him to put his hands behind his back. When the man reached for something in his pocket, that's when the witnesses tell me the officer shot. Now, as you can imagine, with so many people sitting and walking outside here on this beautiful day, many people heard those gunshots. Take a listen to what I've heard.
It was so frightening, and I've done film, and it was not something you hear on a film set. You think when you're on a set that, it's just what it sounds like. Oh, no, it isn't. And that was, you heard it. It was horrifying. Yeah. I ducked into one of the places.
That was really scary.
I knew it wasn't filmed.
I got behind the wall, so all I heard was pop, 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 pop about 7, 8 times. Then I come up, and he was running down the alley.
Again, a very scary situation for a lot of people out there today, just in the middle of the afternoon, eating lunch outside when they heard those gunshots. Now, there are 2 investigations happening right now, a criminal investigation with WPD and an outside investigation by the SBI because an officer was involved. And we're told that officer was taken to the hospital just as a precaution. But I talked to a lot of people right after that shooting, so we'll have more interviews from them coming up at 5. For now, live in downtown Wilmington, Marissa Hundley, WECT News.
An armed man shot by police during the lunchtime rush in downtown Wilmington. Tonight, those streets are still blocked off as investigators are trying to piece together what happened. WECT's Marissa Hundley live at 3rd and Chestnut Street. So, Marissa, that's not too far from where the gunfire first started.
Right, Ashley, this is 2 blocks away, and actually the crime scene tape has since been taken down where we are, but you can still see it along 2nd Street and all along the parking deck right across from here. But where I'm standing in front of the downtown library, this is where it all ended. And right here on the sidewalk is where they found a handgun, and you can see it's been cleaned up. We can smell it. It smells like bleach out here. But this is also where a sheriff's deputy was able to take that gunman into custody, who is now in the hospital with a gunshot wound. Now, this all happened around 1:30, right in front of Chops Deli, right at the alleyway next to the post office, when a downtown police officer was approached about a man walking around with a gun. Now, again, this was around lunchtime. Lots of people outside eating when they heard the gunshots. Witnesses say they saw an officer approach that man in the alleyway, tell him to put his hands behind his back. When the man reached for something in his pocket, the officer shot. They then saw the man running towards the library. Now, we spoke with several people, including a group of moms who were eating across the street inside Betsy's Crepes with their babies. And as you can imagine, a frightening situation hearing those gunshots.
So at first, since we had our babies with us, we were hesitant. We were just looking through the window because we were thinking if one shot had gone a different way, it could have gotten us or our children. And we were looking out the window. A couple of the people from the restaurant did come out to see what had happened, but the cops showed up really quickly, and they seemed very organized in what they were doing, and they were really on their game. It wasn't super chaotic by any means.
It makes us feel incredibly unsafe, just because it happened right in the middle of downtown Wilmington. In the middle of the day, just all of a sudden, shots fired right behind us.
Now, we were told that man who was shot, again taken to the hospital, is expected to be okay. That officer also taken to the hospital as a precaution. Now, there are 2 investigations going on simultaneously, a criminal one by WPD and an investigation by the SBI because an officer was involved. For now, live in downtown Wilmington, Marissa Hundley, WECT News.
A scary scene in broad daylight has 1 man in the hospital tonight, and 2 investigations are underway in an officer-involved shooting. WECT Zach Driver live in downtown Wilmington now, near where it all happened. So Zach, is it still an active scene right now?
John, things right now are quiet here, but earlier today, many folks outside eating lunch at Chop's Deli, but that's when an officer-involved shooting did happen right here next to the building in this alleyway. The suspect then took off up the alleyway to 3rd Street, right by the library, and this scene did span over 2 blocks. And it all started at around 1:30 this afternoon when someone told a police officer about a man walking with a gun. Many people were out on the streets or at cafes enjoying lunch. One witness eating at Chop's Deli told me they saw an officer approach a man in the alleyway next to the building, tell him to put his hands behind his back, and when the man reached for something in his pocket, that's when the officer shot. Now, the man then did run up that alleyway towards downtown library, where he was eventually stopped by a sheriff's deputy and taken into custody. Now, this is where investigators found a gun, and a group of moms eating lunch across the street from the entire scene told me the ordeal was unimaginable.
I was very nervous. I immediately called my husband and called my mom, and my mom said her heart was racing. It's just so not typical for Wilmington, North Carolina, middle of the day, in the afternoon. It's not something that you ever think you're going to be a part of. It's just things that you think you see on the news.
It was very calm, middle of the day. We're out here with our little babies, and it was very scary.
Now, both the officer and suspect were taken to the hospital as precaution. The suspect is expected to be okay and has non-life-threatening injuries. Now, there are 2 investigations going on into this shooting. One, a criminal investigation by the Wilmington Police Department, as well as an external investigation by the SBI. We'll continue to update you as we learn more online and on air. For now, reporting in downtown Wilmington, Zach Driver, WECT News.